Hi, and welcome to this video. My name is Janis and I want to share with you how you can create some textural sounds with Syntakt. So this can be like chord sounds, like for example this one. Some string sounds, like for example this one. Some cinematic sound effects. Some rhythmic chord loops. The first sound I want to show you is this synth chord pad that sounds really beautiful, I think. And the great thing is that it has some internal movement, so it's not a static sound. And it comes from the LFOs, so here you can see it's the chord engine. If you want to copy the settings, you can do it, but be known that it really doesn't matter so much. So it would also sound great with another waveform, with another chord type. It's all my choice here, but you can use other settings. The important thing is that you modulate the balance of the chord tones with some LFO, which I have here. So let's actually get rid of it for now, and also of the other one. And now without modulation, the sound is static. But if I increase the modulation now, we will get this nice slow moving variation that changes between different types of chord positions. Because you can play a chord in like a basic structure, but you can also move the individual notes to other positions and you still have the same chord, but it sounds different, and that's what's happening here. So this would be like a very extreme setting. And usually a slow setting is, or like a mild setting is enough for adding mild variation. And it also sounds quite crazy on faster tempos, which is not what I want here, but I want to share it with you. Here you almost get some melodic vibes or some melodic loops. There's actually another sound I'm going to share with you where I use this setting. But for now, let's go back to the main setting, which looked kind of like this. And also, it's really beautiful for chord sounds to modulate a bit the tuning, but you have to be careful because already at 1, you modulated by a half tone, so it's a very audible change. So a very mild setting is enough here. And the values are those. One more small thing that I really like to do with all digital engine sounds is doing some high-pass filtering. If you go to filter, you have 2 filters, which is great. I don't use the multi-mode filter, just the basic one here, for cutting a bit the bass frequencies, because those chord sounds cover lots of frequencies, and it's usually a good idea to play a bit with the high-pass filter. It can also sound cool to actually filter it way more. If you just want to have some high shimmer. And as you can hear, I'm also using reverb quite by a high amount, and the reverb looks like this in case you're interested. Let's continue with the other chord sound that is also made with the chord engine, and I was touching on this topic just a few sentences ago, because the synth balance can sound rhythmical as well. So here I have a sound that sounds like this, where all this movement comes from the balance. So if I go to the LFOs, and actually let's not skip this, the settings look like this again. Most of them don't really matter. It's about the modulations. So the balance gets varied or actually modulated with the random LFO. And this one is just so amazing because if you modulate stuff with the random LFO and some quite high modulation amount, you get those rhythmical sounds. Because it jumps around a lot between those different tone variations, which cover quite different ranges. So that's a great tool for getting this vibe. And to me, it sounds a bit like some jazzy Rhodes player, some super cool sound. And also I modulated a bit with a sine wave, like a slow modulation, the waveform. So otherwise we would get the same waveform all the time. And here we get a little bit of movement, almost like some filter. Sometimes it gets brighter, sometimes a little duller. Just for some more variation. I think it's up to taste, of course. And just so you see the difference, if we remove the other LFO, it's a very static sound. Although also nice as a pad, but this really brings it to life. Let's check out this high, creepy, cinematic tone. I like it a lot. I think you can use this for all sorts of movies that have a creepy moment or a creepy scene. And I use the synth tone here, which is like some FM synthesizer, which is super cool. And you get those kind of frequencies by choosing a high ratio. So you can see that the ratio is on 15. I think it's the highest setting. Yeah, it actually is. I mean, you can still pitch it high, but you wouldn't get this kind of sound because it also has a lot of modulation going on. So the feedback is 37 and the modulation at 127. And with the filter, I'm cutting all the low frequencies because otherwise we would have like the fundamental frequency. Oh wow, this is actually also really great. But if you only want to have like the higher note, you have to cut it. But actually this sounds so cool as well. Just so you see, the lower I get with the ratio, the less intense the sound effect gets. Actually, this is also really cool. I take back what I just said. You get lots of cool textures here. Great for drones also. I guess if you modulate this, it sounds pretty amazing as well. Here you can see I'm using some panning modulation, so it moves left to right. I think it's cool with this sound. And let's actually modulate the modulation ratio. That should sound really cool with the slow sine wave LFO. I think now we get those long gaps because we're at the maximum setting. We should bring this to a medium setting, maybe like 5,000, and then the LFO actually moves up and down from this point. Woo. Pretty cool. And so the overdrive and also the modulation amount are probably the most important things here, because otherwise that's what I meant. I forgot that it was the modulation amount and not the ratio that makes the sound really dull. So here you just get this basic sound that doesn't tell you so much, which can be functional. It's cool. But if you want to hear the modulation ratio, you also need to increase the modulation amount. I'm kind of discovering this engine right now for those slow sweeping tuning variations or modulations. It sounds pretty awesome. By the way, in case you enjoy my Syntakt content and also the way I create sounds, be known that I published a full Syntakt sound pack with 256 fresh new Syntakt sounds. It's like a full bank, super versatile, so it's not like a genre-specific sound pack. I basically created sounds that I think can inspire you at any time. And if that sounds interesting to you, just check the link down below in the description. I don't know if you know this, but there's also a super cool engine for making string-type sounds, which is the Synth Swarm engine. And you can create those amazing unison detune effects. So if, for example, here the detune mix is not active at all, we just get a basic sound. And I wonder if those do anything. Not really. You can also add some bass octaves, so you can make it a really big pad. And if you increase this detune amount, you get the super pleasing unison detune effect. Also, you can decrease the amount of it. This is basically the detune intensity. And here, you can detune it even more. I don't know how to explain this kind of control. And you can add some noise, which is sometimes cool for making it sound less clean. And this is actually all you need for having some synth pad. I mean, you can hear I'm using some reverb. It's the same setting as I used for all the other sounds. And the filter here we actually need, because if you remember from the first sound, the attack is a little softer for the amplitude, which is what I did here. So the attack is like around 60. And also for the filter, I added like a filter with a long attack. So here are the settings. And otherwise, it would just sound really static, because we want to have some movement. If I get rid of the filter, it's just too bright. So it's a really great idea to add the kind of low pass filter. I mean, you can also make it shorter if you want the sound to be there right away, but I wouldn't recommend the 0 setting. And you can also play with the envelope intensity for making it softer, which can be really beautiful as well. It's a very soft sound, but I like it. Especially together with the noise, it's a super great ambient sound, I think. And if you add some lower octave, it sounds pretty dark. And yeah, I just hope this inspires you a little to create your own atmospheric chord pad type sounds with Syntakt. And if you liked the video, just take a quick second, please, to also click the like button before you head over to the Syntakt and start creating those sounds. And if you need some more inspiration, there's a playlist here containing all my Syntakt videos. And here's another playlist giving you some more general music production tips and tricks, which should also be relatable to Syntakt. And apart from that, I wish you lots of inspiration with whatever it is that you create, and hope to see you soon again at this channel. Bye.